What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the OCVarsity Gridiron Show. Dan Albano here, joined by the Hall of Famer once again, Steve Fryer, as we are back to make our football picks. We are here with Steve, the man who covered Edison San Clemente football last week. What do you know? What do you say, Steve? Was that everything that is right about Orange County High School football? Great atmosphere, a couple public schools playing down to the wire in fourth quarter. And as maybe there was a reference from the San Clemente Twitter feed today, they didn't necessarily need SoFi Stadium to make that great atmosphere happen. They don't apparently. Maybe they're entertaining it in a joking way in the future, but I think the realistic is that they didn't need that atmosphere to have that venue to play that great game. And maybe Mater Dei and Bosco don't need it either. Coming up, I think that game is on is approaching in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, October 7th is Bosco Mater Dei. You know, it's going to be at Santa Ana Stadium, which is great. I love the old place. I really do. I think Coach Rawlinson at Mater Dei likes it too. Jason Negro, the Bosco coach. Bosco's played pretty well at the Bowl, as old folks call it. So, you know, and I know Eric Steinheimer at the Times was saying from what he saw over the weekend, the St. John Bosco defense is great. And there's no weaknesses on that side. So October 7th is going to be a great game. You know, San Clemente Edison, that could have gone either way, you know, as the cliche goes. You know, San Clemente lost a couple turnovers. So did Edison. A lot of turnovers in that game. But it was a fantastic game. Blake Allen, the guy who runs the ball for San Clemente, is great. You know, Parker Awad made some good plays there toward the end. Carter Hogue, the running back. Parker Awad, the quarterback at Edison running back Carter Hogue was really good. The kid Hurley, Ashton Hurley, a couple nice catches for Edison. Line play was what you would expect it to be from two really good teams. Edison was short a couple guys up front, but they made it work. It was a great game. I enjoyed it. We got some great ones. Even though it's bye week, everybody, you know, 7 of the top 10 teams in the county are not playing. We still got some really good games on the schedule. Take it away, Dan.
Well, that's why we can never rest here during the football season. It is back at it with our picks. I do have a slight lead, but I'm not gonna rub it in and mention that. Everyone just look at the end of the video. I'll post our records and off we go. How
you have a 2-game lead on me, right? 2 or is it 3?
I'm gonna save it for the end. Check it out at the end. Hey, Thursday night, this is a game you're gonna be covering.
Yes, sir.
At Cypress High School. That's gonna be Garden Grove. 4-0 for the Argonauts. They run the ball really well with Bay. Taking on Western, 3-1. A couple coaches that really are excellent in Davidson and Cepeda. They friendly rivalry. This is a step-up game, I think, for Garden Grove as they're getting ready for their league play. They have a nice win against Santa Ana. I think Western's played a tougher schedule with the Cypresses on there. Obviously that was a big test for in St. Margaret's. So who do you have in this game, Mr. Fryer? Really good Thursday game.
Good athletes. I like those Faulkner guys over there at Western. Drew and Joshua, right? Yes. And two, you know, both, you know, great guys doing different things, receiver, running back, very good athletes. Malachi Bay, you mentioned, just doing all kinds of things. Also a good defensive player at safety for the Argonauts of Garden Grove. But Western, I think they've got a lot of speed over there, and especially on defense. And I think that's why I got to go with the Pioneers of Western to win it.
Yeah, I'm also picking Western, but I think this could be a pretty high scoring game. Checked in with both coaches. Western's getting some players back. Coach Cepeda, you know, mentioned about turnovers, but I think could be key. But I think it could be a pretty high scoring game. I think this is a great game. I like these two teams playing each other. I hope they continue to do so. And I think it's a really good game and could be telling for which direction these guys go as far as how they do in league. I think Western's going to be very good in the Orange League, of course.
They're both going to win their league, right? Big Four, Grove, Orange, Western.
I think they're both headed in that directions, and we'll see where they go playoff wise. Here's a really good game. We have a couple revenge games here. to spice some things up. How about Capo Valley coming off that loss, the heartbreaking loss to El Toro? They're 3-2, played a really good schedule. Now they're taking on Cypress. This game is also back at Western on Friday. So we know we go Cypress 4-0, 10-0. Well, last year, Capo beat Cypress in a really good game. I was at this game, 38-31. And so Cypress, they know all about Trey Kukuk and the do threat quarterback at Capo and how tough he can be. And Capo could, it seems like, I'm reading the tea leaves here. It looks like Dane Benedicts, who hasn't played all year for Cypress, who had him for Capo, who had a big hand in that win last year. Looks like he's going to be a game time decision. And it wouldn't be shocking to see if he's plays some limited amount for Capo. Be a big boost in the arm for the Cougars. But I think this is also a huge game for Cypress. Who's going to challenge Cypress in the Empire League after this? As Cypress, they win this, are they looking at a 10-0 regular season? Very possible. This is a big game for Cypress because I don't know what kind of test they're going to get in the Empire League. We know what Capo's facing in the South Coast League. Goodness.
Yeah.
But who do you got in this one, Mr. Fryer?
Cypress. I think Cypress is better than the team. The Cypress team was 10-3 last year. I've seen them play. I think with where Cypress is better, the skilled position guys were great last year with Monteleone and Morel, et cetera. They're this year really good. But I think they're a little more physical. When I watched them play earlier this year, they were bashing people around. And I don't remember that Cypress team being quite that roughneck in a way. Capistrano Valley, like you said, lost to El Toro last week, and just by a touchdown to Newport Harbor, pretty good Newport Harbor team week before.
Yeah.
But I got to go with Cypress in this game. You got to, with Capistrano Valley and Trey Kukuk there, and if Dane Benedicts comes back, that's really helps him a lot. But I think Cypress is so good and so much on a roll right now. I got to go with Cypress.
Yeah, I'm also picking Cypress. Though I think Capo's played a tougher schedule overall.
Sure.
But I think Cypress has tried to challenge itself with Foothill and San Juan Hills. But I think Cypress should win this game. Go to 5-0 and get ready.
Yep.
They open their Empire League next week against what's going to be a winless Tustin team. Surprisingly, Tustin's on the bye this week. They're 0-5. So, but should be a very good game because I think Capo is very competitive. I mean, the two games that they lost to El Toro and Newport, they were right there, and they had a chance to beat El Toro. So, speaking of the Chargers, very interesting team this week. So, El Toro 2-3 after a 0-3 start. The last 2 weeks, though, they beat Huntington Beach, who I thought was looking pretty good, on a last-second field goal. Then last week they beat Capo Valley 41-38. Capo was ranked about 14th in the county. That was a major upset, one of the bigger upsets of the year, because this is all from an El Toro team, Steve, that one of the most surprising scores I've seen all season. 38-0 loss to Fountain Valley in for their third loss. And since that loss, the last two games, they've beaten two pretty darn good teams, including Capo Valley. Now they're taking on Tesoro, who is, a pretty steady team that's played a pretty solid schedule, lost to a couple strong inland teams. And Tesoro is coming off the bye. And this is an interesting matchup because you got Tesoro that likes to run the ball, usually pretty physical run game under Coach Poston. And then you got El Toro that's featuring Thomas Froome, who just ran, 31 times for about 160, 170 yards in that win against Capo Valley. So a couple maybe power teams. I did a notebook on El Toro this week, a story. I checked in with Coach Reynoso. I didn't realize, and it was a good reminder for me, El Toro's got some physicalness at left guard, left tackle, a couple big defensive linemen, and they got some new skill players, and then of course Thomas Froome running around. They seem to be building at El Toro a lot of good juniors on this team. But this seems like a big test because we got Tesoro, I think about 17th in the county or something like that. What do you think about this game? Who's your pick?
Yeah, Tesoro's number 17 in the county. El Toro's didn't get in there because of the early losses. I think that's why the three of us, you, me, and Mike Huntley, we didn't get El Toro on the top. top 25, Thomas from 414 total yards, also a 90-yard kickoff return for 6 points. So, wow, have a game, kid. But I got to go with Tesoro. I always, think I got to go with the rankings on this. Tesoro schedule is pretty good. They've also coming off the bye. I think that helps them a lot. So, but Toro, guys, I was tempted to pick them, but I got to go with Tesoro.
Yeah, and I was mentioning the revenge factor, and there is a revenge factor. Last year, El Toro did edge Tesoro 28-27. That was a home game for the Chargers. So and I'm also picking Tesoro because I think they're going to get that revenge coming off the bye. And but I won't be surprised if El Toro keeps it rolling. So so far we're 3 for 3 in agreement. Will it continue? Here's another interesting one, Mr. Fryer. El Medina. How good are the Vanguards? They're 4-0. They're in the North Hills League. Did they pass their first major test last week against La Habra? Because you have to ask yourself what's going on with La Habra. Seem to really be struggling. Last 2 games, I don't think they've barely scored any points the last 2 games against Orange and against El Medina. So nothing really coming out. It's hard to see what's going on with La Habra. So how good is El Medina? We'll find out. It's an interesting question because you got San Juan Hills. They're 0-5. But in those 0-5 losses, they've been very competitive. It's a little bit different theme, I think, than what's happening with La Habra. You have, San Juan Hills scoring some points a little bit at times, like they've had against Roosevelt. They played Santa Margarita so close. They've had some competitiveness, but they are 0-5. Yeah. And they're 0-5 for the second straight year. But they're talented. They got, they got some really good players on that team. So Weston Port, etc. They're trying to get Butter Tolfelson going. El Medina, they run the ball like heck. Are they too one-dimensional perhaps for San Juan? Who do you have in this game, Mr. Fryer?
I got to go with El Medina this game. You're talking about La Habra. They're going to get better when the sit-out period for transfers ends on Monday the 26th. Got a couple guys who are playing out of position for the Highlanders. They're going to get a couple of running backs that Frank Mazzotta, the coach, says is going to make them different. So we'll see how that goes. And what looks like a pretty good freeway league too, with Troy, Sunny Hills, down a little, but still, going to be okay. Fullerton, Sonora's got the best team they've had in some time. Freeway league's going to be fun. Getting into this game, El Medina, that running back, Owen Smith, little quick guy, the Mason Hitchens, who just knocks people over. Xavier Guest, pretty good quarterback, sophomore, runs it good, throws it pretty well, and really good on defense too. So, the teams that San Juan Hills have lost to are combined 16-1. It's a pretty good schedule there. San Juan Hills is going to go to 0-6, I think, because I'm picking Elmo in this game. El Medina, I'm looking to see what playoff division El Medina winds up in, because if it's 7, 8, 6, whatever, El Medina is going to be a factor in whatever division they get settled in. And but I like El Medina to win this game.
They were a factor last year, right? They had a nice run. I think they were in around Division 5, 4 to 5, something like that.
I think so. Semifinals, guys.
Yeah, they had made a nice run. I know Robert Fitz is a really good coach at San Juan Hills.
Sure.
And this is a big game for them. Obviously, you don't want to go 0-6. And and their schedule sets up with, they got some power running games coming their way with, they got Tesoro next, I believe. They got El Toro and Tribuco after that. These are all teams that love to run the ball, just like El Medina. So if they want to get back on track, this is the kind of team that they're going to have to find a way to beat. But it seems like El Medina is playing very, very well, and they're playing really, mistake-free and disciplined football. So I got to pick the Vanguards. But I think this should be a very interesting game, because I'm going to be covering this game, and I want to see how good El Medina is, and I want to see what's going on with San Juan Hills as they go to the Seaview League. They're dropping down from the south coast of the Seaview. What kind of shape are they going to be when they get there? Hey, last game of the week here. So we are 4 for 4 in agreement. Will it break here? Aliso Niguel, 3-1. Fountain Valley, 3-1. I got the Barons knocking on the door to get in the top 25. They're the next team up, in my opinion, even though I saw them really struggle against El Dorado. Lost 50-7 in that game.
Yeah.
So I know, but teams can turn it around just like El Toro did, right? And Fountain Valley has turned it around. Both these teams, Mr. Fryer, coming off the bye. How did they organize that? And you also got a couple good junior quarterbacks here. Hunter Najum at Aliso, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions this year. Noah Banuau is also playing really well. I think he's got 7 TDs, 1 interception this year. Who do you like in this one?
Fountain Valley. That's a really good team this year. They got a lot of confidence. They're moving along pretty well. Aliso's got a good running game. They're averaging about 130 something rushing yards a game, but Fountain Valley's defense has been pretty good. Other than that mammoth 50 points they gave up to El Dorado, they've been pretty good. They beat El Toro. They wiped out Marina last week, 56-14, I want to say. But I like the Barons this game. I think they're on a bit of a roll and they keep it going.
All right, we're agreed on all 5 games. It happened once again. We are in agreement. 5 for 5. I'm also picking the Barons. No bye for the Barons. After this, they go right into the Sunset League, which is looking great. And they take on Corona Del Mar and Aliso. It is an interesting situation for Aliso. You wonder some of the mind, some of the mind games or the mentality they have to have this week. Aliso, they're looking at Fountain Valley. Fountain Valley beat El Toro, one of Aliso's league foes, 38-0. Here we are playing on Fountain Valley. I mean, gosh, we got to try to impress. We got to try to get the W. That would be a big momentum. I think under Coach Callahan, Aliso is making some improvements. They've won 3 straight after losing their opening game against Canyon. But I think Fountain Valley is going to win a pretty competitive game Friday at Huntington Beach. So there it is, 5 for 5 agreement. How does that happen? I guess I should have picked the El Toro Chargers, but I didn't.
I should have stuck with my Los Al pick last week.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes, we both got that. Yes.
Yeah. I was thinking Los Al up until the last minute there. And it's like when you take a guess, is pretty much all I'm doing here is taking guesses. They always say when you're on a test and you don't know what the answer is, A, B, C, or D, whatever your first guess is, take it. And I should have kept with my first guess. But, because I saw Los Al play Servite, it looked pretty good. But I thought Margarita was better. Santa Margarita scored 49 points and lost.
Because the Los Al offense is almost so impossible to start.
What the heck? Damian Henderson, man, our athlete of the week, 304 yards or whatever it was. And
that young offensive line is playing very well.
Makai Lemon, 11 catches, jeepers. Malachi Nelson's Malachi Nelson.
Yeah, he's certainly not making mistakes. So they're going to be tough to beat. And watch out. But obviously Los Al, they'd be Division I contenders. I think if they could.
I hope they're in Division II.
I don't think it's going to happen. They're.
You think they're going to go in? You think they're going to be an 8-team division in Division I?
Yeah, I do. I would say right now.
And then they're going to be seeded 6th, 7th, or 8th, and they're going to have to play Mater Dei or Bosco in the first round, or go to Centennial.
I don't think they'll be.
Put Los Al in Division II, and they're getting a banner.
Wouldn't Los? Perhaps. They'd have to. I mean, it's interesting, right? 69-49. How would Los Al fare against Orange Lutheran? That'd be a pretty good game.
Be a great game. Love to see that.
How would they fare against the best team out of the Mission League, for example? That could be interesting too. So I wouldn't hand them. I wouldn't hand them a D2 title just like that. But I think they're going to be pretty highly seeded if they win the Sunset League, and they're 8-2, and they've beaten two Trinity League teams. I don't know why they wouldn't be seeded. 4 or 5.
I hear you.
Centennial's the 3, Poly the 4, Mission Viejo the 5, or maybe they're higher than Mission Viejo.
Yeah.
But
that was an interesting vote for number 2 in the county this week, Dan.
It was. Who did you vote number 2?
Los Al.
You did. Okay.
Yep. And the other 2 guys didn't vote Los Al number 2.
Yeah. Hey, I had to think about it, and that's a good thing. Because we got some good depth to OC football even on this week. But hey, next week we'll be back talking about a lot of league games. So thanks for watching the video. Give us a like on our.
Are you going to
YouTube
post our records? You're going to post our records now?
Check out those records coming out. Moments away on the credits, and we'll see you guys.
We have credits
on the credits, and be sure to say hello to us at the football games.
Am I key grip or best boy on the credits? What am I? Am I makeup supervisor?
Executive producer, Steve Fryer.
No, that's you. I'm like hairdresser in charge of catering. That's all I can do.
Hey, every role matters on a big production like this.
That's a good point, Dan. Appreciate that.
We will see you guys at the football games this week.
All right. Roll the credits. Embarrass me. Go ahead. Go ahead.